Okay, just got a new board in to look at. This is Galaxian. And just put it on the bench. And just looking at it right here, this chip looks really bad. It looks nasty. So that I would actually have to look at and make sure. I don't know what's going on there. It's all crusty. A lot of crustiness on this board. I haven't looked at the back side of it. I mean, we'll lift it up really quick and take a look. It doesn't. Well, that chip right there looks like it's been replaced maybe. Other than that, it's pretty nice. It's pretty unhacked. I don't see any obvious hackery. So that's nice. Top side. Okay, that I think has been replaced. I don't think that was originally socketed. Got all of our RAM here. I don't like this section. This section right here has got some serious nonsense going on. Okay, let's give this thing a let's give it a plug in and see what happens. Okay, over in the speaker I hear some weirdness. Hear that? And there's nothing on the monitor. Nothing happening there. Okay. And let's put the meter on it and see what kind of voltages we get. Ground, 5 volts here. I'm getting 4.4 volts, which is not good. And it's now looking like it's trying to do something. It just started doing that when I hooked up to the power. Huh. Yeah, that's what's on the screen. So this thing isn't doing much of anything, really. Repair tag. Huh. Interesting. And just a red screen. It's just a dead board. I'm gonna have to hook up the logic probe, I'll check the reset pin, see what the CPU's doing, if anything. Yep, that's the first thing I'm gonna have to do is hook up my logic probe and check all the control lines and the address and data, make sure they're moving, check the reset, all that kind of stuff. So let me go ahead and hook up the logic probe. Okay, so far I did with the logic probe. I probed all of the CPU here, and everything seems to look okay. All the data's moving, the address is moving, the control lines are moving, the clock is there. That don't seem to be a problem. What I did look at over here, and if you remember, we had 4.4 volts. These caps are garbage. Look at them. They are like blown out. I have to replace these. I have to recap this board. Get good power up to it. And, you know, at least start with a solid 5 volts. It's not in reset, which is kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, see, it's not in reset. So I need to check and make sure the reset circuit is working right, because it should be resetting, because it's not doing anything. So, but first things first, I have to get the power right. So I think it's the first thing I'll do. Okay, I just did the recapping. I cleaned the board. I went ahead and washed it, and I replaced that one nasty looking chip. It was in 157. I just pulled that and replaced it. It looked so bad. The board's nice and clean now. New caps. I'm going to revisit the power. So let's go ahead and plug it in. I'm going to turn the monitor on and plug it in. And we're looking 4.36 volts. That is not good. There's still something's robbing the power on here. Huh. Interesting. Alright, I'm going to have to go through and test these parts. See what is bad. I might have to replace this thing. I think I got a scrap board. And we're still getting the same red screen. But I've got some scrap Pac-Man parts. I think I'll grab some of this stuff. Try swapping some stuff around. I'm gonna test this transistor. And this thing is probably an issue. I don't know. We got a Zener diode right here I can test. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to test some values of these resistors and stuff like that. Alright, I'm going to do that. Okay, after I thought about it for a second, we got 4.4 volts on the board, and if you add about 0.6 to 0.7 volts through these diodes, then you'll have your 5 volts. If I just jumped these diodes, because I'm sending regulated 5 volts in and it's dropping 0.5, 0.6, 0.7 volts over those diodes. So I'm just going to leave it the way it is. It'll run at 4.4, 4.5 volts. I don't know. Maybe I should just pull those out and jump them. Well, we'll see. I'm going to see how it does, how it reacts with the way it is. And it's nice on Pac-Man. Pac-Man boards, there's a third pin that just bridges the diodes. It eliminates the diodes altogether. This board doesn't do that. You actually have to jump those. So I may do that. I may not. I think I'll just leave it the way it is right now and see what I can get done. But the power is actually perfect. 4.4 plus the drop over the diodes will give you at least 5 volts. Right at 5.05, something like that, which is perfect. So we're gonna go with that. I got the new caps, cleaned it up. It's still just a blank red screen. So I think what I'm going to do first is jump on the TechNet website, TechNet. and get the ROM and RAM regions, and use my fluke to go through the RAM and the ROM, make sure I can get to all that. And I think that's the first thing I'll do, because I've already checked all the signals and everything looks good on the CPU, so I think that's the next thing to do. Alrighty, let me hook up to it. Well, I did go ahead and just removed these two diodes and put jumpers in there just for the purpose of testing on my bench. And the power at the power rail here is 4.98 volts. So after I'm done with it, I'll put the diodes back in. But for now, just for testing purposes and all that, I'm just going to do this. So it's just the easiest. It just seems like the easiest answer. So that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to go ahead now and put the fluke on and do some RAM and ROM checks. Well, I went ahead and put the fluke on it, as you can see, and I just did a run, and it's still just red screen. And I just decided to see what it would do. It's playing. Yep, so that's cool. Let's reset. So it is playing blind, which is just a no video problem. Absolutely no video. So I'll just have to look through the schematic at the video section of the hardware and see what is not working. Alrighty. Let me do that. Let me go through the schematic, look at the video part of the schematic. This looks like we're missing, I mean, it's all red, so maybe it's just, I don't know. We'll figure it out. But yeah, I want to just start at the beginning of the video section. Okay, I got the CPU back in it. It's running right now. The game is running, and I can see faintly, very faintly, in the background, every now and again, I can see the game. Like right now, I don't see anything. But every once in a while, I swear, I can see it in the background. But it's running. So what I'm doing on the schematic here is I'm looking at the video output section. And I'm looking at this latch and this PROM chip right now. And what is going on here is I'm probing the inputs, and the inputs of this latch, there's activity on every input. Okay, 3, 4, 7, I believe, and 9 maybe, something like that. Anyway, every input has activity, but not every output has activity. So I said, okay, aha, a bad 273. So I took a good new 273 and jumped over it, thinking that I would see the game just magically pop up, and nothing happens. You know, I can kind of mess with this a little bit. So I just want to, I don't know if this is pulling the outputs low, this PROM chip, but what I want to do is I want to get a better look at this guy. So I'm going to hook up the analyzer to that and just look at all of the flip-flops in that chip. It might be a timing thing to where there's not supposed to be an output. I don't know. So I'm going to look at it, look into it, and see what it's actually doing. Let me hook up to it, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm looking at one of the flip-flops in this 273, and it's not working right. This is the clock, the data input, and the output. So you can see I got it just triggering on any change on the output. And it's going low. You can see when it goes low, it's going low on the negative edge of the clock. And it's not supposed to do that. So yeah, that's a problem. I'm gonna have to, even though I jumped it and it didn't, that's not right. So I am gonna have to replace that chip and see if it fixes anything. But I'm going to replace that regardless, because that is not how that's supposed to work. It's a positive edge triggered flip-flop. It's never supposed to transition on the negative edge. So I'm going to replace that. Okay, I pulled the 273 and it tested fine. So I pulled the PROM chip, the output, the video output PROM that it drives. It drives an address to this ROM, and that ROM is no good. I got it in my programmer right now, and I've run it on ROM ident, and it's not identified. So I'm going to have to burn a new PROM, and then I'll put the board back together, and hopefully that'll fix the problem. Okay, I replaced the PROM chip, and I put a new 273 in, and I got the same thing. But that's okay. I just found something, because that was bad. Here's the old one right here, and it was bad. My reader told me it was bad, so it was bad. I come upon something interesting. I started looking at the color signals that are generated, and they basically take the bits off of these RAMs. I'll show you. These bits that come off of these RAMs go up, and they go through a flip-flop and come back around, and they come back around, and they go through these gates, and they make the color signals that go up to that 273 I replaced. Okay, this one right here, 1R, pin 6, output. I pulled the pin out of the socket, and I have an output. Okay, just like all the rest of them, I have an output. Now if I remove this chip, okay, and fold the leg back down and put the chip back in the board, I have a completely floating output. See that? All the other ones are good, but I put this in circuit and it floats. Now if I take it and I short it to that guy, I can see the game. Something connected to the output of this RAM is bad, causing this output to float. So I'm going to look at the schematic, what the output to 1R goes to, and look at that stuff. Okay, I looked at the schematic, and the signal that comes up from that RAM is RC0, and it goes to 1U, a 174 flip-flop. It comes in on what is it? Pin 3. Comes in on pin 3, and I can tell by putting my finger on this that it's no good. It's hot. And now you can see it was just kind of flaking out to where you could see the video a little bit. This chip's no good. It's hot. That is a 174. It comes in on pin 3, and there's nothing going on there. 3 goes out to 2. There's no, just a high output on 2. That chip's no good. It's a 174, so I'll replace that. Okay, got the new 74 LS 174 flip-flop in. It's looking good. Colors are perfect. Yep. It's all good. It just turned out to be that guy right there. Okay, so what I did, I replaced all the caps. I washed this board really good. That chip was bad. I replaced this 173, but it wasn't bad. It turned out it wasn't bad. This thing, and I tell you what I want to do for giggles, is I want to find, what did I do with that chip puller? I want to pull this PROM. Okay, I pull the PROM and all the graphics kind of go away. The star field's still there. This thing, my reader said it was bad. I want to put this in and see what happens. And it turns out it looks like it was okay. Yeah, looks just fine. All right, well, I will leave this in the board, and I'll send this along as a freebie replacement if it ever does go bad, which it may never, but I don't need it. So that'll go along with the repair. And then that's about it. I'm going to put the diodes back in. I have tested them. They're right here, and they're fine. I'm just going to put them back in the board. Let this thing run for at least 3 hours. Make sure it doesn't flake out. I've already tested. I know the sound works. I'll test the left and the right and the fire, and I know coin works and start works, so I won't bore you with the details of doing that, but I'll make sure it works. If it doesn't work, I'll let you know. But yeah, this one is all set. See you on the next. Okay, the game is working, and I went back and I'm probing this 273 again because I was like, why did that look bad and then it tests good? And once again I ignored a control signal. Clear. So now I'm probing all of the signals, the clock, clear, and the input and output. And you can see this is that one that I said didn't look right. Well, it looks right. Clear's high, so it's working as a flip-flop. Now clear's low, so it clears the output. It's high, so it works as a flip-flop. I forgot about clear. That's all. You can see you get different. When it's low, it'll be different on the bottom because it clears it. So yeah. Yeah, I just didn't. I didn't think about that. Didn't notice it. Whatever. So that 273 was good, but whatever. I got a new one in there. So, all right. This one is good to go. And one more thing before I call this good. Even though this game is running with the old PROM in it, the colors are not exactly right. They're a little dimmish. Like this is not a pure bright white. It might look like it in the camera, but it's not. I'm going to swap this again. I'm going to swap it again with the one that I programmed. The colors are brighter. I don't know if you can notice it on the camera, but it's pretty noticeable. They are a lot brighter with the PROM that I burnt. Yeah, it is very noticeable, especially the blues, the brightness of the blues. So there is something funky with this PROM chip right here. My programmer said it was bad, and I can tell it is bad because this is a lot brighter. It's just a different, it's like one shade brighter for some or something. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but the colors are a lot more vivid with the PROM that I burnt. So I am going to junk this. I'm going to trust my programmer. Said it was bad. It's bad. That'll do it.